Welcome to season number 2 here in the Indianapolis Aeros franchise. In season 1, we had the number 8 overall pick, and we began our rebuild from there. And in the offseason, we picked up a couple of nice pieces. The first big piece that we acquired was Jordan Montgomery in free agency. We signed him to a $15 million deal along with Ian Happ for $8 million, totaling about $24 million of our $70 million player budget. But the key to the offseason was more or less building around our young shortstop we drafted number 8 overall in Ray Gonzalez. We hit him in the lineup quite a few times in the spring, and it showed that he just wasn't ready. His youth definitely showed at the plate, and he didn't really display any power and ability to get on base, so he will start at the AA level. In the third round, we drafted shortstop from the University of Miami, Steven Benitez, but he also showed some rustiness and maybe needs some work in the minors before going to the majors, so he will start at AAA. And our top prospect last year was Connor Wiegman. He also struggled. I did not see this coming at all. I thought at least one of those 3 guys, probably not Ray Gonzalez, would be a guy that would pop in spring, but none of them ended up really showing. So good thing in the offseason we signed Brandon Crawford, the 37-year-old shortstop, lifelong giant. We signed him to a 2-year deal worth about $1.8 million with a club option for year 2. And then we also signed another veteran first baseman in Seth Beer, who really hasn't gotten a chance. And there's another reason for that, because we have a lot of young first basemen who can hit as well, including Paulo Reyes, who was our minor league hitter of the year, and Tyrone Johnson, who really shows some pop at the plate. But Reyes, I think, is the most complete hitter in our organization. He has power from the left side of the plate, and the one thing he has is alley power. Like, he will hit 4 extra base hits a lot more often than not. So Reyes earns a roster spot in the opening day roster. And who else earns it? Well, not Pat Washington, not other guys that were coming up in our organization. It was Uijo Tekan. Uijo Tekan is one of those players that really wasn't mentioned last season. He was at AA and hit about 240, 250. But in the spring, it showed he was working hard in the offseason. He was easily our most impressive player in the spring, and he will get the opening day start in the outfield. It's a surprise move by the Aeros, but this rebuild was all about developing the young guys, and Uijo Tekan has definitely earned it. But in free agency, we had a contingency in place. We wanted to sign a lot of guys into our minor league system, get a lot of depth at each position so that our young guys can develop. But we found a young guy, a diamond in the rough, in Todd Workman. Workman is 68 overall. We had to sign him to a $3 million contract. That was a rule we had set out. He is B potential, and I think he has a ton of potential to come. He showed in the spring that he could strike out a ton of batters and be a huge asset in the rotation. We left the offseason really thinking that maybe we needed more depth and more power at the plate and just some youth as well. We highlighted that Jack Sawinski could be a trade target, and I want to commit to trading for him. The Pirates show that they are in a rebuild. They made a couple of various moves that really show that they are just building for the future. They are kind of mailing it in now. Maybe it's the division that's tough for them. So we offer them 3 pieces. Will Warren is a decent piece. He was acquired in the offseason from the Yankees. Lonnie Gonzalez was a free agent. Actually, he was our draft pick who was renamed a custom prospect. And then we ended up adding Nicky Lopez. Well, looking at their shortstops, though, they have 3 guys that are competing for a starting job. First is Logan Davidson, then Leover Peguero, who is, like I said, a young and up-and-coming shortstop like all of these guys are, but they are very, very similar, all 3 guys. And you're probably asking, where did O'Neal Cruz go? Well, he was traded to the Seattle Mariners at the trade deadline, And I think this was a smart move. Not saying that O'Neal Cruz isn't the guy, but I don't think he's going to be a guy that's going to be like an all-star consistently. He has flash potential a whole lot, but he's probably not a guy you want to build a organization around. But we have to make this deal sweeter in order to get one of those young shortstops. So we have to add John Kensky Noel, who we just acquired last year at the deadline. In order to make that deal happen, we get Peguero along with Sawinski, and we solidify a couple of roster spots at the MLB level. We also decide to sign Matt Bush to a one-year deal, pretty much a one-year deal with a 2-year club option. But if you haven't heard about Matt Bush's story, go and read on it. It is very, very interesting. We signed him. He is 38 years old. We're only expecting him to really contribute for one season. So here is our opening day roster. And one thing that I want to highlight here in our right-handed pitcher DH lineup, all left-handed batters. We have 2 switch hitters in Ian Happ and Francisco Mejia, but then all left-handers. This is like pretty unprecedented. And look at our bench. It's all right-handers. It's pretty funny. But that's just kind of how this kind of ended up being. I don't like this. This is pretty much temporary. But as far as the best team we have available, as far as a MLB roster, that's going to be our best lineup right now. I decide to start Paulo Reyes at first base versus left-handed pitching as well. And then Seth Beer will play DH. Those two will kind of switch off first base and DH. But I like Paulo Reyes right now in that 3 spot. And then Nelson Velasquez will hit versus left in that 2 spot. And then the young outfielder into Khan will start in center field opening day and hit in that 7 spot. So the pitching matchup will be Dustin May versus Jordan Montgomery. We face our rivals here on opening day. You couldn't write a better script here. So we'll see what both teams can do here in this opening game. Oklahoma City didn't make any big moves. They signed Jesse Winker, but he's not even on the MLB roster here to start the season. They signed Sam Haggerty, so he's going to be their leadoff hitter. But pretty much their entire lineup looks the same. They didn't sign any new prospects, any new players. They just pretty much remain the same, and we'll see if it pays off. So here's Ian Happ to open up the season, and he will fly out to center field, and that will be the first out here of season number 2. Raimel Tapia expected to lead us at average again. He hits one to left center field, back at the wall, but this one will be run down. That one kept going, but ended up staying in the yard. Ramon Laureano runs under that one. Paulo Reyes gets the start here at the DH spot. He hits one to the right side. It's flipped on to first, and Dustin May gets us 1-2-3 in the first inning. We're on the road in Oklahoma City to start season number 2. Here's a ground ball to Ian Happ, the new signing in the offseason. He signed a 3-year, $8.3 million a year deal as he gets the out at first. Jose Iglesias hitting 3 for the second straight year for Oklahoma City, and he grounds out to third. That's the new signing Brandon Crawford, who is playing third base today. D. Gordon is playing short. Well, Jordan Montgomery gets in a little bit of a jam here in the bottom of the second inning. That one will be a strikeout swinging. That brings up Jake Rogers, who also goes down. So Montgomery gets out of that jam, and no damage really done. Here is Ojo Takan, who was our big player in the spring. He hits one hard to the right side, and the rookie has one off of the wall, and it will be a double for the first at-bat of Ojo Takan's career. How about this kid? He's about 65 overall. He has good speed at 80. He has actually a really good arm as well. I think he's going to be a pretty good player come, the next few years. D. Gordon comes up. He grounds out to short as that brings up Ian Happ. Inside slurve. That's going to be a swinging strike 3 for Dustin May's second strikeout. Bringing up Raimel Tapia, who turns on one. This one's going to be deep to right field, but it looks like it will just be short of the warning track for the third out of the inning. Ramon Laureano is actually playing in right field. I said he was playing left earlier, But here is Yoan Moncada here in the third inning. Ground ball to D. Gordon. Gordon with a couple of nice plays early on. He's getting used to playing short. He's going to play short a lot more than he did last season. Here is Seth Beer signing from the Arizona Diamondbacks. He was a first-round pick back in 2019, I believe. He hits one well to left field, and that one will be a ground rule double for Seth Beer's first hit as an Aero. That brings up the new acquisition, Pittsburgh Pirate Jack Suwinski to the plate. He hits one. This one's down the first base line, and I think he just barely missed it. I don't know how he missed that one. That one was right down the middle. He was barely early on it. Brandon Crawford to the plate, and he just hits one back to the pitcher. So both teams struggling through the first few innings to score any runs. Bottom four now. Here's Michael Chavis at the plate, and he will walk on the outside circle change. As that brings up Nick Maton here with one out. Man on first base. He hits one down the left field line. That one is fair. It gets all the way to the wall. Suwinski fields it off the wall. He has a strong arm and left to D. Gordon to the plate, and the run will come across. And it is 1-0 for the Oklahoma City Wranglers. As Jake Rogers comes up with two outs, hits a laser to right field, right to Tapia. And Oklahoma City strikes first. Top five now. Here's Francisco Mejia. He signed a new 2-year extension in the offseason, avoiding arbitration, as he is aboard here with no outs. That brings up Ojo Takan. He hits one deep. That one is gone. The rookie spring training star comes through for the first RBI of season 2. It's a jack 417. Ojo Takan is a guy to watch out for here this season. The way he's swinging the bat, he looks like an early candidate for Rookie of the Year. D. Gordon comes to the plate. He keeps this inning going. It's a chopper up the middle, and he beats that one out. Maton could not make the throw in time. Still no outs here in this inning. Ian Happ here to the plate, and that's going to be ball 4, outside cutter. Still no outs here in the 5th inning. Tapia to the plate. He has one low in the zone. It's a chopper to first. Tapia has decent speed. He will beat this one out. So now we have runners on the corners here with Paulo Reyes to the plate. 0 for 2 today. He does draw the walk. Now, Paulo Reyes is really good at drawing walks. That's one thing I love about him. And he loads up the bases, but the Oklahoma City Wranglers manager has seen enough. He goes to his bullpen, bringing in Eduardo Rodriguez, who was absolutely terrible last year, to be honest with you. And he will face Seth Beer, a lefty versus lefty matchup. Bases loaded here with one out. Beer gets one low, hits a liner to left field. That one gets down. Tapia, he's going to round third and head home, and 2 will score. 4-1 here for your Arrows. And Seth Beer already a 2-hit game here in his first game with the Arrows, along with Ojo Takan, both lefties coming through. So now here comes Brandon Crawford to the plate here with 2 outs, and he will watch that one low in the zone. But it's a 4-1 lead here for the Arrows. Ian Happ to the plate now, 0 for 2 so far. He has yet to get a hit as an Arrow. That one will be ruled a base hit. Ian Happ is going to have to play a big role in this rebuild. He can play center field, left field, and second base, but I think second base could be his big slot, as here is Paulo Reyes. His first Major League home run is smoked to right field. 427 off of the left-handed bat of big 6'5" Paulo Reyes. He's wearing Ken Griffey Jr.'s number. He grew up as a hero to Reyes. And that is a 6-1 ball game here for the Arrows. Is now on to the 7th inning. Jordan Montgomery has pitched an amazing game so far. He had a couple of jams he pitched out of, but he's going to be pulled after a 122 pitch outing. That brings in Matt Bush out of the bullpen. He will get a double play ball here in the 7th inning. And Matt Bush signed in free agency. We only asked him to get 2 outs there. And that will move us to the 9th inning. Strike 3 swinging, and the Arrows get the win. A big-time win here for the Arrows to open Season 2. In Oklahoma City, we spoiled their home opener is we were wearing our Reds for the first time here in this series as well. If you didn't notice, obviously we were wearing those. But how about Ojo Takan, who had 3 hits in his debut here at the MLB level? A big-time debut from the kid. As we move on to game 2 in this 3-game set to open the season, and you can already see Indianapolis is just getting better. You can see that these first couple of games, we are stringing together hits now. We are getting into situations where we drive in runs. We only have 2 games in this one. We have 11 hits so far. As we move on to the 7th inning, Eric Lauer pitches all the way into the 7th, and he will get pulled here in the 8th inning. Reynaldo Lopez, who we signed in free agency, also, he signed a 2-year worth about $8 million total. And we bring in Archie Bradley for the save, and he will get the save, and we get the win here in game number 2. And the Wranglers are 0-2 to start the season. The Arrows 2-0, 14 hits to their 8. A good solid victory here. As you can just see, the top 5 hitters in our lineup, 2 for 5. I mean, you can't ask for a better day from any lineup, to be honest with you. So we end up simming the 3rd game of this 3-game set, and the Arrows do not sweep the Wranglers. They avoid it, but it was another close game, 5-4. We had 8 hits to their 10. Ian Happ went 3 for 5. Seth Beer is off to a great start this season. He went 2 for 4 as well, but Oklahoma City just scored 1 more run than us. That's all you need to win these games. So the big question coming into this season was, is there a possibility that Ray Gonzalez could start at the MLB level? Well, no, he's going to need some development. So we want to see his debut with the Arkansas Naturals here at the AA level. And right away, you can just see he's going to be trying to use different stances to figure out what feels most comfortable. Obviously, he's had nothing but high school coaching at this point. So once he gets some major league, some professional scouting or professional coaching, I should say, he's going to figure out his batting stance and figure out what works for him. But right away in his first couple of at-bats, 2 fly balls to right field. At least he's using all fields. Bottom 6 here, man on second base, and just didn't get good wood on it. Good timing on that swing, but a tapper right in front of the plate. Now 0 for 3. Here he comes up in the 9th inning in a tie ball game. It's still 0-0, but he hits one up the middle and gets robbed. They will not rule that a base hit. They will actually call that an E6. I cannot believe they would, because based on the difficulty of that throw, that should have been a base hit. But Ray Gonzalez goes 0 for 4 in his professional debut here at the AA Northwest Arkansas Naturals. But we do get the win. Our young catching prospect, Jim Hall, hits a walk-off in the 9th, and we end up, winning this first game at the AA level. But we do play Atlanta in the next series, and we end up getting swept. But Atlanta's probably going to be one of the best teams in the MLB this year. Looking at their squad, they are just insanely deep. So I'm not too worried that we got swept. All those losses, except the first one, were pretty close, 1 or 2 runs. So that will do it for games here in this episode. I want to end this episode by showing you guys all of the custom prospects that made it. So if you guys did submit a prospect a couple of episodes ago, you might see yourself here. Let me know down in the comment section if you do. Now, generally how I will kind of, play it with a lot of these prospects, just because you are a custom prospect does not mean you're not going to get traded. Everybody still has a chance of getting traded or getting released or whatever the case may be. There's no special treatment unless you are a member on my channel. I usually try to keep those guys around. But most of our submitted prospects are going to be 65 overall or below in C potential, and they will also probably be at the AA level. There might be a couple of custom prospects at the AAA level. Probably guys that are closer to 65 overall, so the 64s may be up at AAA. We'll see. But we have a lot of custom prospects here, and I wanted to make sure that, I kind of encapsulated all of your guys' submissions. I tried to get as many in as possible into our minor league system, and I wanted to make sure that I wasn't doctoring ratings at all. So all these ratings are pretty much guys that I signed in free agency in the offseason, and then I obviously modified the appearance, the likeness. You guys submitted your batting stances, your pitching motions. I made sure all that stuff was accurate, and then made sure you guys were all renamed properly as well. But I like all of these prospects. I think we have a pretty solid farm system, and our minor league teams should be good now and in the future. And there is a chance that your prospect, that if you see him here, could outperform, just like we just saw Ojo Takan. Like, he earned his spot at the MLB level being just like 64, 65 overall. So there is a shot that some of these guys could eventually make the squad, the MLB level squad, even at a mid-60s overall. Who knows? So that's going to do it here in this episode, and I'm excited for this season. I think we have a lot of exciting players. We still have some AAA guys that could eventually get moved up. The Tyrone Johnsons, the Connor Weigmans, the Steven Benitez's. We have a lot of good young players that are going to add a lot of excitement to this series, and I'm excited to build around the young core. Let me know what you guys think of the Jack Sawinski trade as well. It sucks getting rid of John Kensky Noel already, but it just made sense in order to get some infield depth. We have multiple first basemen that are coming up in the organization. It just didn't make sense to keep another one. So that's probably going to do it here for at least trades in the first half of the season. Then when we get to trade deadline, we'll kind of evaluate from there. But that's going to do it here for episode 1 of season number 2. Hit subscribe, hit that like button, stay tuned. Let's get it. Let's go.
I like getting money, I got time to get it. Target on me, so my car's a tinted. Dancing with the devil, I don't bargain with it. Bobbing in the dash, and the stick is with it. And I hit the 4-5 on the west side. But I'm from the east side, this how we slide. This how we ride, yeah, this how we ride.